How's it going, everybody? JD back with another great podcast with another great guest. Once again, I want to say thank you guys for all tuning in and watching these. Has been getting great feedback, and it's helping our agents. But that's ultimately what we're trying to accomplish here, and of course, network between. So, my next guest will be Kristen Halton out of the OC. A lot of experience, over 23 years of experience in real estate, over 1,000 homes sold, and numerous awards won as well. We'll get into that. She's obviously the owner of the Halton Group as well. She's a top 1% agent in the OC, and she's been featured everywhere from Good Day LA, Mansion Global, Wall Street Journal, and much, much more. We're going to go into some questions and pick her brain on what she's doing, and let's welcome her to the stream right now. Kristen, good morning.
Good morning.
Thank
you for having me on today.
Oh, my pleasure. I want to say, first and foremost, thank you for coming on. Like I said, we had a lot of great agents on this podcast, and it's been great for our Douglas Elliman family to bring people who are just doing it right, and that's you, Kristen. So brief synopsis, we met at Aspire not too long ago. We sat together at a breakfast table, and we had some amazing speakers. We had Casey Neistat on there, which is mind-blowing, and a couple other figures, which really opened our mind to what we can do in the social media aspect. But I was picking her brain a little bit, got to know her, and I was like, you know what? She might be great to bring on this podcast. So here she is this morning.
Thank you. Yes.
Of course. So we're going to have some questions to you. We'll get the dialogue going, and we'll get right into it, okay?
Okay.
All right. I did mention some accolades you have going on right now about the awards and where you've been featured and how many years experience. So this is your time, Kristen. This is your bragging rights. Tell us of what you've done, what that all looks like. I know it's uncomfortable sometimes, but make sure you do it, and then tell us about your business.
So yes, as you mentioned, I've been in the business for 23 years. Came here knowing nothing about real estate. Jumped right into the business, got my own license, started a team right away, literally within the first year that I was in the business. I figured out very quickly, time is money, and I needed to build a team so that it frees me up to do what I'm best at, which is selling houses.
Sure.
But as far as, accolades, I've gotten many awards throughout the year, and really today, my main goal is just to be the best I can for each individual client that I'm working with at the time. So, I love what I do. I'm very passionate about it. I believe that a home is where you create memories. And so not only is it important to help the friends and family that I do buying their dream home, but also to create a legacy, through investing. So I love everything about real estate.
Oh, that's good, and I think that's super important for anyone. It's like if you're truly passionate about something, it doesn't feel like work. I mean, you love doing it, you live and breathe it, and you're right. It's about making lasting memories for people, your clients and friends and family, and of course, like you said, yourself. I want to go back to you starting a team right away. I mean, that's unheard of, right? Usually, people get in the ground by themselves, kind of thing, and then you find that later in life, where like I just can't do this by myself. What made you do it so fast?
Again, just going back to the fact that there's so many things to do in the business, from just chunking it down to making copies of keys, putting out signs, paperwork. I was very clear on what my strengths were.
Sure.
And I figured if I can pay someone else $20 an hour, $15 an hour to run around, that just frees me up. Yeah. To sell and to cater to my clients.
That makes sense. Yes, so you find that what makes it, because I always believe in that, and I'm with you. I found that out too, not as early as you, but later, where like, hey, I'm actually losing money because I'm doing more things, right? And so right. So that's what it comes down to. You can't multiply yourself. So figure out, all right, what's my highest and best? Well, like you said, I'm good at selling homes. I'm good at doing this or bringing in business. I shouldn't be doing these items. Not that you're better than that, but you're actually losing money for everybody else on your team because you're not focusing on those things.
Exactly. That's exactly right.
No. And then, so obviously I'll make sure everyone, you do business in OC. So how long have you been in OC, or is that always you've been there, or?
No, I actually moved to Orange County in 2000. Okay. And when I moved here with the intention to sell real estate. I had never purchased a home before. I was 29 years old. And people ask, why did I get in the business? All I can say, it was in my blood. I just knew, like, I had not had any experience at all in the real estate world, but I knew I wanted to sell real estate. And I had a family member whom I had never met before that actually was a top producer in Corona del Mar. And when I moved to California, I called her up and I said, "Hey, can I come work for you?" She said, "Sure." I went and worked under her for the first year.
Yes.
Her name was Karen Lynch, and learned a
She's,
lot from
she's
her.
still in the business?
She is not. She's
Okay.
retired now.
Okay.
Yeah. So, and she had a team at the time, and as I mentioned before, once I went out on my own, and I think probably from her modeling, showing me how to run a team and how to work.
Sure.
That's how I jumped in, started a team, and for me too, being 29 years old, new in California, pretty much showed up with the car and my suitcase, so I didn't really have a lot. It was all hard work,
Sure.
hustle, and grit.
Yeah.
I mean, everything that I have today, I built from ground up. Nothing has ever been handed to me. And I learned at a very young age from my parents, you have to, if you want something, you have to go out and get it and earn it. And that's
Right.
what I did. And I literally, this probably, today I work a little bit differently, but back then I would say for the first 12 years of my career, I worked 7 days a week, probably 12 hours a day.
Right.
And that's no joke.
No, I feel you.
So yeah, a lot of hard work,
Good for you. And I think what's actually a common thread, I'm going to say 50-50 about the people I'm interviewing, including myself, is either they found a mentor early in the game or someone who they looked up to, right? And I think that's super important if you really want to make this a career, because it will help you catapult you much, much faster, right? So therefore, you
Yes.
saw a team aspect, like, oh, that's smart. Oh, I saw how you run your business. That's smart, right? So it shaves, I'm going to say easily 2 to 3 years of learning experience, right? So therefore, you can see what the potential is, and especially from a top producer, because okay, now your ceiling is much higher than not seeing a top producer. You're like, oh, people can make it that high. Okay, now I know it's possible, right? So I think that's a huge benefit of having a mentor. So I can't express that enough. I had one too, where I looked up to someone who was doing a really high volume or just good business, and I took aspects of that and brought into my business, which ultimately got me higher much sooner than an agent who just kind of figured it out for several years.
Exactly. I mean, literally, I remember for the first year, all I ever did was cold call and do open houses. I mean, that was pretty, and run errands, but doing the cold calling and learning the scripts. I mean, I had scripts and really putting my head down and going to work has taught me how to talk to people. And then obviously once you start selling houses and doing deals, you learn everything else along the way. But I learned by doing and watching her.
I think this is one of the few industries that you actually learn way more on the job than any kind of classes prior, any kind of books you read, because there's so many nuances and every deal is different. Every client is different. And that's something I'm sure your toolbox is extensive, Chris, from what you've seen, right? I mean, and so is mine. But I believe that people I know people I read a lot of real estate books. I watch $1 Million Listing. I can do it. I'm like, great. But there's so much on the job you need to learn as well. And that's whether it be shadowing people, getting in front of people as soon as possible, right? Scripts, open houses, showcases. I mean, all those stuff. There's so many things involved to make you a well overall top or a strong agent versus someone who knows only a couple aspects. But that just takes time, as you know.
Exactly. And that's exactly, it takes time. And actually doing it and having someone guide you for the first year along the way and show you how to do, and then you pick up your own style and technique along, as you grow and you learn, and you're constantly learning and growing. I still am today. Okay. And the other thing I did too that I think is important is I also got a coach early on. I pretty much had a coach throughout my whole career. I mean, there's been times when I've taken breaks, but for the most part, I've always had a coach or a mentor that I worked with.
Yeah, I think it's super important. It just helps you, someone accountable, making sure you're hitting your goals. And obviously we're going to have a market that does this, and we'll go into that later too, right? How to adjust yourself during these up and down markets, what that looks like. for me, I've been in the industry about 10 years now, so I've never had a market that was super down yet. I haven't been through it yet. So therefore, I'm reaching out to people who have been and like, what does that look like? What are we supposed to do it during this time kind of thing? So that's important to have someone to be there a little longer to know what that looks like as well. And that goes into my next question is, what does your business look like now in 2023? Because of it's just different. I mean, last 2021, even 22, kind of an anomaly, right? 2023 is a different market altogether. What does that look like for you? What are you talking to your clients on both buyer and seller side? What does that look like?
For my sellers, most of my business today is repeat and referral.
Sure.
So obviously I do get new business as well, but just last week I probably got 3 referrals from friends and past clients. So what my business looks like today is a lot of it's repeat and referral.
Sure.
And so, no matter what market we are in, I continue moving the ball forward, and you just adjust, you pivot to whatever is happening. So right now it's a very interesting time. And sellers that want to sell, we're still seeing all-time high prices.
Yeah.
I know the news isn't exactly reporting that right now, but where I am,
sure,
in Newport Beach, California, Corona del Mar, Costa, Laguna, we really haven't seen prices adjust.
Okay.
Or we've seen it depends on the neighborhood. We've seen them soften a little bit, but the key right now, in my opinion, with listings is bringing the house on at the right price. Pricing is key.
Right.
And people pay for perfect. So, during COVID, you could put a home on the market, not have it be perfect. I mean, I'm very particular about the way I want my homes presented, and I like them to be perfect, because I know that will ultimately end in a higher net for my clients.
Sure.
But we just take the time, energy, and effort up front to set the client up for success. So I'm not really doing much different.
Sure.
I think that's one of the things that has made me successful over the years is I've always stuck to the basics.
Right.
And my business, because most of it is repeat and referral, it's all about taking care of your clients, having a strong connection with your clients. My clients trust me.
Yep.
They know that I treat them the way that I would want to be treated, and I
Sure.
really do that.
Yep.
Like if I make a mistake, I own it. I'm not perfect. Just recently I made a mistake. I owned it, and I paid for it too.
Yeah.
But for me to lay my head down at night and have peace, I know that I have to do the right thing. And because it matters. When you do the right things in life, the right things happen. And so my business, although it's changing with social media, I mean, there's always stuff that I'm adding to the layers of the marketing, etc.
Sure.
But it always comes down to the basics for me, which is making my phone calls, reaching out to my clients, staying in touch with them, and being of service and seeing what they need. And it doesn't just it's not just about real estate.
Right.
It's about life and being a good person, being a good human, helping them when they need help. And hopefully, they think of me when it comes time to buy or sell.
Yeah, that's important. I think you nailed it on the head. It's not all about real estate. I love that. I truly believe in that too. It's amazing how many obviously great relations we build by what we do. People end up trusting us and actually bringing us part of their family as well. I mean, I'm sure, Kristen, like you, we know more stuff than some people do in their own family just because they trust us. They really do. And that's a beautiful thing. That means we've gained trust, we've earned the trust, and now we have a lifelong client, lifelong friend, right? And so doing the right thing is super important. That will also not only protect your ethical mind, be able to sleep at night, but also garnish more business as you go. Because I can say, hey, to your point, Kristen actually made a mistake, but she actually said, my bad. This is how we're going to fix it. And now I know mentally I'm not doing that again. Right. You know what I mean? So
never going to happen again.
Absolutely. You gotta make sure you understand that too. But that's just so important, especially being so long in the business, Kristen. I'm sure to your point, you have a lot of referral business, repeat clients kind of thing. And that just takes time. And I want to make sure all newer agents been for a couple years it takes time for that too, right? So therefore,
Yes.
you've got to build on that. It takes time. It takes time. But as long as you're in the game, consistently doing what you're, like Kristen said, calling, reaching out, not even to say, hey, looking to sell. How are you? What's going on? I know your daughter's going to college. How is she liking? And those calls go so much farther than saying, hey, guess what? You know your home is working. They're like, great. I could find it out myself, most likely, right? But they know that you care, and that's super important too. And now, obviously, as you go and grow in your business, that you'll learn to do that. And I've been doing that recently too, where I'm like, hey, what's going on? And like, oh, you're not asking, like, no, I just want to see, how are you? What's going on? Or that recipe you made, can you share with me? All these different things, right? But that's super important and super ethical, being there for clients and being a human too. Ultimately, yes, we are salespeople, everyone knows that, right? But if you put that secondly and be a friend and a like some kind of resource, that will fall into place too. And I truly believe in that as well.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
To
that point too, like you said, we're in sales. And so with that, when a buyer comes to me, they tell me what they're looking for. It's my job. I really look at as an advisor position. I'm helping them make good decisions and also helping them process, okay, what neighborhood do you really want to be in? What type of house? Like what's your dream home? What are you looking for? Is it 3-bed, 4? We have a consultation, and then oftentimes I'm telling them, hey, what about this neighborhood? Or why don't we check out that? Because I know just from experience that oftentimes they're not sure. And it's my job as an agent, and I think that's where the experience does come in, of doing this for 23 years in Orange County, knowing the nuances of all the different neighborhoods, knowing, okay, do you want to be gated? Do you want the walkability to shops and restaurants? Do you like privacy? Do you want to be in a neighborhood where kids are running in and out of each other's homes? Like, I know all of those things. So for someone to come into I won't call it my market, Orange County.
You can own it, it's yours.
But my point is it experience does matter. And that's where I think, well, I know because people have told me where I've really provided value, because I've helped them and shed the light on homes or scenarios that they never thought of. And ultimately they end up buying and are super excited. And then also on the sell side, oftentimes I meet with sellers that haven't sold their home in 20 years, or just like yesterday, a listing appointment that I went on. So she even mentioned to me, the seller, like, oh, well, back the last time I sold, you baked cookies. You didn't have to prepare your home for sale, and it just sold, and it smelled good, and it was homey. She goes, now everything needs to be white. It needs to look like you don't live in it, and so things have changed, but it's my job as their agent to guide them through that, because ultimately they want the most amount of money that they can get for their home. And that's my job as their agent, to get them the most money, and not just say, there's been many times where my client might think their home is worth $3 million, but I can support a 3.5 price and I get them 3.5. Now, when you do that, you get referrals for life, because you're putting, $500,000 in their pockets. They're happy.
Of course. I think that's so important. And back to your first point, you're right. Being an advisor is super important, because anyone can go online in today's day and age. You can go to Zillow. You can go and find any kind of home you want. Bedrooms, low zip, you're good. But to your point, do you know the nuances in the community itself? Do you know what kind of people are living in this community, right? That's important too, because that's our job too. So I do something too, like a buyer consultation. Not only do I do that, but we do a lot of relocations here in Vegas. And so I do full on tour. Like, they hop in my car, I tour them around the valley, kind of show what's going on. So therefore, it's a complete open dialogue. So they go back home, wherever they're coming from, and literally go, I have such a better idea what the valley has to offer. So if a home comes on the market in that community, we're jumping on it. Versus if you don't do a good job in detail what they're looking for, the odds of them jumping on a home will take much, much longer, because they don't feel confident they saw everything. But if they feel like they know everything because of the information you provide, like you do, Kristen, I'm sure your turnover or your success rate is much, much higher, versus having a buyer like, they've been shopping for 3 years. Like, no. I mean, something's wrong at that point, right? So it's like,
Very wrong.
we didn't get to the fine nitty and gritty what they're looking for, but only we can do that. We know the nuances kind of thing too. And that's important too. And I do like that. I think it's important. I do love buyer consultations. I tell a lot of agents and new agents, like, it's super important to identify what they're looking for, have that face-to-face conversation. And then once they see you face-to-face and put in the effort, the loyalty is much stronger at that point, saying, wow, Kristen took time to meet me and discuss what I really wanted. Like, whoa, no one's ever asked that. Like, yeah, I would like to walk to this restaurant, or I would like to, park my car and go to a nearby park. Okay, these are the communities I want to showcase. You know what I mean? So, and then that's important too. So I do like that. So well done there.
Thank you.
Thank you. Yeah, of course. And it goes into the next one, the listings, like you just said. I think absolutely right. Me too. I have clients who haven't sold a home in forever or never sold a home versus they're kind of more experienced. But I'm sure with you in your market, you probably see the range. I mean, I can only imagine people have been there their whole life. Not, the markets have changed, the homes have changed, the desires have changed. And you mentioned a little bit what you say about this, but how repeat some stuff what you're saying to your clients during listings.
Well, during the listing, it's really, I'm asking a lot of questions because I want to get to the truth about what it is, where they're going, what's the timing, when do they want to be there, what they can and cannot do. Do they have a budget to make, repairs to their home? If not, we have a concierge service that can help facilitate that. I mean, there's so many, so it's really just an open dialogue and questions to help them achieve their goals, because ultimately they are the homeowner. It is their decision on what they want to do. I can only lay it out for them and say, okay, if you want to net the highest and most money, this is plan A. Here's plan B, and I usually have a plan C too. And again, it comes down to their timing, what they're comfortable with, what they want to do, what they can do. And it's more of an advisor role.
Right.
But, change is always happening. People are always moving. And I'm just here to help that make it smooth as possible, enjoyable. And, my goal whenever I'm working with a client is, to 5-star service, white glove service, make it pleasant. It's fun to go shopping for your dream home. If you're moving in from out of the area and you don't know anything about Orange County, great. Let me show you around. Like you said, hop in my car. But back to your question with the listing side, specifically now, if I have clients that are thinking about selling, I'm encouraging them to sell now. I mean, we're in the spring selling season, which is typically the busiest time of year. And if I have anyone on the fence, I'm encouraging them to get their home on the market sooner than later, because, we're in the best time of the year. And again, with pricing, we're still seeing record prices with selling homes.
Sure.
And we're holding strong here in Orange County.
Yeah, no, same here. We have same here in Vegas. We have low inventory right now, so it's prime right now. The weather just turned. We had a long, interesting winter, like you guys too. So it's just starting to get warm now too. But yes, once we're like I don't know what kind of animal comes out during the good weather. I feel like we're that animal. We're kind of coming out, seeing things now.
Yes.
But the prices are still strong. Yes, we have a small price decreases or a little longer in the market, but nothing like people thought it would be, right? And lucky for us, we still have people coming through here. But come back to Orange County, because it's an older place, meaning more established place. Are these homes getting, are people coming in renovating the homes to the current buyers we're seeing today, or people still liking more traditional homes? What are they seeing in your market, or a little both?
It's everything. During COVID, I would say that people were looking for move-in condition, perfect.
Yeah.
They just want to show up with their toothbrush, and move right in. Sure. Now with the market, and just the mindset of people, I'm starting to see more buyers purchasing, I call them in-between homes. They're not brand new and they're not teardowns.
Okay.
Where before, again, people were either buying teardowns or perfect. Sure. Now we're starting to see, because the prices have gone up so much, people can't afford always the perfect. So they're taking the in-betweener homes. So if you have a home that's partially updated or you've owned it for 20 years and you've done some remodeling, those homes are really starting to see move because people feel like I can at least get into the neighborhood or get into the house and then fix it up over time. But honestly, we do so much volume that we're seeing it all.
Sure.
I mean, I have investors that I'm working with. I have people that want to flip. I have a lot of investors calling me every single day looking for flips. That's really, really big right now in our market. But it's all price points.
Got it. Okay, that's cool. So you've been in OC for a long time now. You've been how long have you had your own team for? Almost forever. Pretty much you've been doing it. How big is your team? How big is your team right now? I know like me, I've had influx, come and go kind of thing. Where are you at right now with that? And is that kind of where you want to be kind of moving forward?
Yes, right now I have 5 people on my team and it's perfect.
Yeah.
You know, I've had up to 15 people. I've had, down to 3. And for me, I have 3 kids. I have a very big life. I have a lot going on. I have a 10-year-old, a 13-year-old, a 20-year-old, 3 dogs, a horse. I mean, we've got a lot. And I found with the really big team, it was just a lot to manage. And where I'm at today in my career, I just, I downsized my team probably 6 months ago and just kept, gosh, how should I say that? I just kept the stealth, like, really high performance. Everyone on my team is amazing and really good at what they do. We're actually more productive and efficient, keeping it tight.
Yeah.
And I just, love everyone on my team. We all work very well together. We all know our lanes. And we do a great job.
That's huge.
I've never been happier with where I am with the team and everyone right now.
That's awesome. And so I want to make sure everyone clear. It takes time to find that niche, like Kristen is going through right now. So you're going to have your big team, small team. But I think as you learn in this industry, as you grow within yourself as a person, you realize what you need, what that support looks like, what will make you happy, what will bring balance. And of course, people's, personalities, that's important too, right? Who vibes with who, what's their goals, what's not their goals, how much output do they want to do and all that stuff. So it takes time. And I have to say that too, because people are like, oh, I want a big, massive mega team. I'm like, sure, but there's so many things to consider, you know what I mean? So, and a lot of people refrain, go, oh, no, I don't want that, you know what I mean? So, but it's not, more people doesn't mean more volume. Sometimes it's counterproductive, like you said, right? And so you got to make sure you find that sweet spot, what makes sense. And, obviously there's also added pressure to a team owner like myself and Kristen, right? We have not only, 5 mouths to feed, we have family and we have some horses to feed, you know what I mean? So there's other things to consider too. So it's finding that balance where you can literally, hopefully be able to sleep at night, close your eyes and sleep well.
Yes. And there's no right or wrong.
No.
It's really, as a team leader, it's really finding out what works for you and what works for everyone on the team.
Right.
And all the people that I've worked with throughout my career, I have good relationships. I have team members that worked on my team, 15 years ago, and I still see them. And I'm so proud of them because they've gone on their own. They've learned what they needed to learn from me, and they're flourishing. So it's all good. And it all just, if you are new and you are starting out and you're like, which route do I go? There's no right or wrong. You just have to do what you feel is right for you and go be true to yourself.
Agreed.
Be true to yourself.
Be true to yourself. And because I think if you true yourself and you put your actual self out there and your output, you're going to get the people you want around you, right? Because so if you're fake, you're going to attract the wrong type of people on your team, because that's not what you want either. So are you big on the whole was that slow to hire, quick to fire?
Yes. However, I don't always follow that. I mean, it's been, oh gosh, I could tell you stories for days. I would say one of my weaknesses is I really care And I want to see people, and I say that, I think people will get it, but oftentimes I've kept people on too long when I knew it wasn't right. And honestly, you're doing yourself a disservice and them,
Yeah, yeah.
because if it's not working, it's not working. And perhaps they'd be better off, somewhere else. And it's not, again, it's kind of like relationships, if you're with someone and it doesn't work out, it doesn't mean they're bad or you're bad. I mean, it just didn't work out. Yeah, I've been all over the board in that regard, but I am getting better. I am getting better as I age and have more experience, because I know you realize that you're doing the right thing by them too.
Absolutely. That's hard. I'm the same way with you, Kristen. I care maybe a little too much. And, but I'm also I'm a positive person. I'm a glass half full rather than empty. I'm like, I see it in you. I know, and but to your point, when is too long where you're both of us in service, and just, so I see that and I hear that loud and clear. But I think it's a good thing and a bad thing, right? It's good that we care. We actually do care. We're not like, hey, what numbers you're bringing in? If you're not, you're out. No. We know there's time to growth, and there's no better feeling as a team owner and leader to see you grow and succeed and become something. That's great. But at a certain point, if it doesn't work, it just doesn't work. So I'm with you. I'm still learning to this day, Kristen. Maybe when I'm much older, I'll figure this out. But it's a process for sure.
It is a process, and you're continually, for me, I'm 53 now. I'm always learning and growing. And that's the beauty of life, right?
Yeah.
We always want to progress, and sometimes we have to take 2 steps forward or 2 steps back to move forward. And there was a time a few years back where I had to pare it back a little bit because I had, my family needed me more, and you just have to be able to be agile and adjust.
Yeah.
And so
I agree. But as long as you can adjust, that's the most important part, right? You're growing in some aspect. Either where, if you're not learning, you're growing, and that's important, which is good.
For sure.
So let's talk about, obviously been in the game for a long time. I mean, you've seen the game change so much since you started. I can only imagine. So I think things are really evolving in the real estate industry, from obviously digital, the iBuyers, AI. I mean, making this way in here. I mean, so many different aspects in real estate happening that are changing. What do you see real estate happening in the next 5 years? And, what are the biggest wow moments that you experienced?
Okay, let me go get my crystal ball 1 second.
You have mine.
That's actually a very good question. And the truth is, I have no idea.
Yeah.
One thing I can say, though, is, gosh, when I don't even remember all the company names, I'm not even going to mention them, but there was, maybe 5 years ago, it was, there aren't going to be any more agents. It's going to be all online. And there's always that thing, right? That's new. It's the shiny new object that everybody's looking at. But the truth of the matter is, you cannot replace experience. You cannot replace knowledge in a person. I mean, I have lived, I live, I work, I eat, I breathe real estate in Orange County.
Sure.
So no computer or technology, or you can't replace that.
Right.
And people work with me because they want to work with me.
Right.
Because they like me and they know that I will do a good job. So that you can't replace that. And so for that reason, I will always be in business. Yep. And I know that, and I'm also confident in that. So, but as far as where it's going to be in 5 years, it's going to be great, whatever it is.
As long as you're in it. I agree. I'm with you. I do believe that these new entrances will take out the weak. I feel.
Oh, for sure.
I feel confident saying that. But to your point, Kristen, if you are not literally is so involved in your business on a day-to-day basis, you can be replaced. I mean, anyone can be replaced by another person too on top of that, but let alone technology. But yes, I'm with you. People choose to work with us because they want to work with us. We are obviously providing a service, but there's an aspect where they just like to be with us. You know what I mean? They like talking to us, hanging out with us, doing business together. They follow up with us, holiday cards. I mean, we are part of that. There's no AI or robot that's going to do that for you. There's no AI that's going to give you a hug or that's not a thing, right? And so we are human. It's a very human process. There's a lot of emotion attached to that. I do believe some things will be replaced. I mean, that's just inevitable. But if you protect yourself, like Kristen said, and making sure that you are knowing your business, doing your business, and taking care of the people you love, which is your clients, you're going to be fine. But don't slack. Don't forget to do it, right? But because other people take your business or other industries, period. But always remember to do that. But remember why you're doing this industry, period, right? Remember why you're doing this as well. And to your point, like you said, I haven't really changed my business. I'm doing the same things because you're established, Kristen, which is great. But other people, making sure you're staying on top of things, making sure that becomes the norm. And that's important. If that becomes the norm, you should have nothing to worry about. Always pay attention to what's going on. I mean, that's very important. But always be true to yourself and stay on top of your business.
And to that point too, not to say that I'm doing everything the same, because you have to stay current.
Sure.
So I'm absolutely current. And I'm always learning, I'm always listening to podcasts, taking, online class. But that's just, I love to learn. Yeah. I love to learn new things. I love to grow. But, the real estate business, I have a lot of I'll call old school methods with current methods, and you just marry the two. That's what I do.
Yeah, I think it's great. I think because people forget there's some older methods that do really, really, really well still to this day. I mean, those will never go away. But to your point, there's also new stuff you can develop too, and marrying those together will make you even more successful and stronger as well. So I definitely agree with that. I'm going to send you a crystal ball, so check your mail. Okay.
Thank you. Oh, I would love one.
All right, because you're on the team and you've been so experienced, kind of thing, obviously they're taking all this, what you said thus far, as advice to really grow their business, keep their business strong. And obviously, I always say, if you want to make this a career, not a hobby, treat it like a career, right? Don't treat it like a hobby, treat it like a business, right? And that's super important. That's my always advice. But what would you give any advice, experienced, new agent, whatever? I'm sure what you tell your team right now.
I would tell them to align themselves with someone that they respect and admire, and work with them. And then, as I would say, establish a farm, and do lots of open houses. Yep. I mean, again, there's so many different ways to get business, but when you do open houses as a new agent, you learn the area, you meet people that are looking for homes now. It's the fastest way, in my opinion, to sell a house and start making money. Because when you get in this business, if you don't have a second job, you need to sell, and you need to sell right away to survive. That's what I did when I came here, and I had no plan B, and I didn't have anybody backing me up. It was just me, myself, and I. So I had to make it work. And I actually did have a second job until it was a night waitressing job, until I could get on my feet and sell my first house. Sure. But as a new agent, again, I would join a team, I would start a farm, and I would do lots of open houses.
Agreed, 100%. I think joining a team, if not joining a team, finding a mentor, someone who can keep you accountable, show you the ropes, or showcase listing appointments, go on listing appointments, ask if you can join those, ask to be a part of a showing tour, how to do that, or a home demonstration. Oh my goodness, I can't explain how important that is. And yes, open houses. There's no better opportunity than you can come face to face with a potential client right then and there. So I think it's 1,000 times, million times better than a cold call. I mean, because they're right in front of you. Obviously, if you're hosting an open house, the person who owns a home obviously trusts you to be in their home. So why wouldn't that person walk in and trust you as well to potentially find a home or sell a home too? So if, agreed, having a really good either script or knowledge on the home itself. I mean, I've gotten so many clients, Kristen, from doing a wonderful home demonstration on an open house that I got listings from that, or I got a buyer from it because I knew my stuff. Like, I went into detail. I mean, you come across open houses where someone here's a flyer, walk the home, thanks for coming. You know what I mean? No, but if you walk through the home, show them why this is a great feature, tell them what they did, the name, the actual features and upgrades they did, and the history of the home. People go, wow, you know your information. I'm like, well, yeah, this is my job. I should know my stuff, but also be confident in it. And they'll be confident even possibly calling you back like, hey, JD, your tour, amazing. Can you come and see what my home is worth? And you go, boom. And that's how it works, right? But I agree. Open house is super important. And then also find the area you want to do business. Like you said, find that farm. Where do you want to do business in? Dissect it from businesses, who lives there, the turnover rate, the homes, all that stuff, what's happening there. So you can really go, hey, I know this area so well. And that's super important too. And then as you find your zone, expand it, expand. Before you know it, you have a much better radius than that the community itself.
Absolutely.
And so you said you're by yourself. You learned by yourself. What did you have that work ethic always, or was that something you kind of developed over time?
No. Both my parents are, were hard workers. Both my parents worked growing up as a child. My dad actually had two jobs. He was a commercial fisherman, was his second job. So he would go for 3 or 4 months in Alaska and fish every summer. And there are so many little moments in my childhood that I can remember where my parents would say things to me that still to this day, I remember. Like my dad, I remember I bought my first car, and he sat down and showed me how to wash it and clean it and how to detail the wheels and all the things. And I remember him showing me, and he's like, Kristen, if you're going to do something, do it right. Treat people the way you want to be treated. Just those little nuggets that I've carried with me throughout my whole life. And my work ethic, I purchased my own car when I was 16 because I went commercial fishing with my dad because I knew my parents weren't going to buy the car for me. I knew that if I wanted a car, I had to go earn it.
Sure.
I always worked through high school and college because if I wanted, new clothes, I had to buy them. I had to put myself through college. So I think that, that really has, that was the foundation that I grew up with and that I carried into my adulthood.
That's cool. And I know your mother as well, a mother of 3, correct?
Yes.
And are you, since you remember those, I'm sure you're passing it along to your kids as well.
Oh, yes. Although growing up, it's always that thing where I felt like as a child, I did work a lot. And I even remember, during the summertime when I was really young, we'd be down at the boat docks cleaning my dad's boat, getting it ready for him to go fishing. So my life was a lot of work, even as a small kid.
Yeah.
So I think I do spoil my kids a little bit more because I didn't have a lot. So there's that fine line, right?
Sure.
Where I'm trying to teach them, work ethic. And at the same time, I do like to spoil them a little bit too.
Of course. I think that's important. Because you worked hard to do that, right? And that was your goal, right? To make sure that not only you're good, but your family is good, right? So it's hard not to, but I think there's an opportunity, which I'm sure you learned, where you can teach them about responsibility, hard work. Like if it wasn't for your mom, this wouldn't be a thing, right? So, you can live a great life if you work hard, right? And be a good person on top of that. So I have a daughter too, and I tell her every day, work hard, but ultimately be a good person. That's super important. Super important to me. Like my job and my wife's job is to raise a good human, bring more good people on the world. I mean, that's literally we tell her every morning. We do affirmations in the morning on the way to school. I'm like, you can do this. You got this. It's a new day, all that stuff, right? So I want to pass that along. So I know you're passing that along too, but kudos to you. I also believe that there's a thing called different times. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. Back in the day, it was different times. It really was.
Yes.
So
yes.
And we get that. There's different times. We understand that. Yes, it's a little different, but as long as you can still instill good practices and morals, I think you'll be just fine.
And sometimes too, I was just talking to a friend the other day, and I think I'm completely failing at everything. And then my child surprises me and does something, and it goes down to my kids learn from me more by what I do than what I say.
I like that.
So it's that we do affirmations in the morning. We do all the things as well, but it's really what I do on a day-to-day basis because they're watching
Agreed.
And, I've had some very proud moments lately because sometimes you think they don't listen, especially now I've got a 10 and a 13-year-old. I feel like they don't listen at all.
Sure.
But then they do something where I'm like, thank you, Lord, they're listening. It's working.
What I found true is that kids, you're right, they'll watch by example, learn by example, right? So if you obviously, if you're true to yourself and you're true, what you do is what you actually are, they'll take that for sure. But I've learned that your kids will give you problems at home, but the true test is when they go to someone else's house and how their parents go, your daughter is so polite. You're like, okay, she's listening.
Yes, yes.
Yeah.
In fact, that did happen the other day too,
Yeah.
where I got it. A parent just was like, gave me a very nice compliment.
Yeah.
So that's exactly what happened the other day. I'm like, okay, it's working.
You're like, okay, you're gonna get mad too. So you go to your kids, so you know what to do, but you just don't do it. Okay.
Oh yeah, they just don't do it at home.
Yeah. That's true. Well, thank you. So next one, obviously, you're everywhere. You've been award winning. You're a top 1% agent OC. You've been on a lot of periodicals and news kind of thing. Where else can they find you if you want to reach out to you? I know a lot of the agents that I'm interviewing are like, yeah, if people want to reach out to me, like I'm here, like I love to, answer questions, whether it be in my market specific or what I'm doing in my business. Where can they reach out to you? I also put your name above, so you can see your name there. That's your social media. So on Instagram, but where else can they find you?
Yeah, so I'm big on Instagram. It's at Kristen.Halton. I also have an app, the Halton Group. I have a website. I have a phone number. But I would say if anyone would like to reach out to me, best is probably Instagram.
Cool.
Yeah.
Yeah, very cool, very cool. I think, I'll have to give you kudos. Like I said, I met Kristen at Aspire. We're sitting down at breakfast, and she, when Casey Neistat was speaking, obviously, if you're not sure who that is, Casey Neistat, in my mind, is the godfather of vlogging. He really brought vlogging to a whole different game, whether the cinematography, his storytelling, and of course the brands that hired him to do these amazing projects really catapulted. So he's just amazing, and also amazing speaker. We both got to enjoy him. And Kristen openly said, I just don't do social media. I'm not comfortable with it. But since then, I've been following her, and she really has done such a good job, really putting her face out there, doing some funny things and more social media. I want to ask, was it because we were there and you listened, or what changed for you? Because your social media game has really stepped up. So kudos to you.
Well, thank you. And that's one of those areas where I'm questioning myself, right? It's like anything that you do in life. It's like, am I doing it right? And sure. I'm my own worst critic.
Of course.
But really what inspired me to do more on social media is so many people, my business coach, mentors have said, you need to let people see who you really are, sure. Because you have this, I've just gotten feedback throughout my life that people don't think you're accessible, or they don't, so the bottom line is people said, show people who you are. And I have a really funny side to me. And it's like, why not have fun?
Yeah.
Why not make it fun? And, I'm going to actually start doing more content where it's information, because all of my stuff is informative, but some of it's just fun and funny.
Sure.
But what's interesting is the feedback that I get from other agents. We had a big meeting in Beverly Hills the other day. I probably had 5 people come up to me saying, I love your content. Yeah. It's so funny. Keep going. And in my head, I'm thinking, this is stupid. Like people probably think, what is she doing? So anyway, I think you just, again, going back to being true to yourself. Yeah. And doing what you love and blending that, with real estate. So Thank you for that, though.
Oh, you're welcome. No, I noticed it. I was like, oh, look at her go. So I'm with you. We are the biggest critic of ourselves always. I was big on okay, be serious, informative content. And to your point, I have a director of operations who's like, when I do fun things, she's like, you need to post that stuff. It's so good.
Right. Yes.
It humanizes you, but I'm like, no one wants to see that. You know what I mean? And she's like, no, people do. You know what I mean? So I'm with you. It's a constant battle I go through, but no, I truly believe so. I mean, you've inspired me, Kristen, so I got to do it as well. But it's important. We're human as well, and we're lucky. What we do is actually pretty fun. I think it's the highs and the lows of the lows, but it's a really fun industry. It's funny. I did a poll within my family, Kristen, where I have physicians, a financial advisor, wealth manager, some really successful people, and we did a poll. If we could be in each other's shoes for a day, who would it be? And they all chose my shoes. The physician. I mean, it just shows you people are really fascinated about what we do. You know what I mean? I mean, that's why there's so many reality shows on it, right? But so we got to showcase that and what we do, the good, the bad kind of thing, and also the light stuff, right? So I've learned that I'm doing better as I go too. But like I said, I want to give kudos to you because it's been great.
Thank you very much.
Yeah. That wraps up our time. We hit 50 minutes. It went by pretty quickly. Yes. Well, I want to say thank you so much. Anything else you want to add at the end? You let me know.
I think we're good. Yeah, no, I think this was a wonderful interview, and I appreciate your time and asking me to be on your podcast. And I would just say that real estate is an amazing career. It's provided myself and my family the life that we live today, and I can truly say I'm living my dream.
Oh, I love it. I love it. I want to say I applaud you for your success. You bring Doug Zelman great things out in OC. You represent everyone well. I'm looking forward to seeing you in person again out in OC. But I want to say thank you for having you. You're awesome. You're inspired a lot of people. People are going to take nuggets from this, I'm sure. I want to say thank you for being a guest and just applaud you for sure.
Thank you so much.
My pleasure. Bye-bye, Kristen.
Bye.